Good Tuesday, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center taking a look at that current Doppler radar imagery across the region. You can see here some shower accent on the board right now as we get toward the Gulf of Mexico. Showing up a little bit heavier there off of Franklin County, at least on this mode of our Doppler. Looking at some other things that might be overdone some, but nonetheless, we do have some light shower accent there in the picture, and going to kind of see that stick around here as we look ahead later in toward those overnight hours to at least some extent, but the chances do drop as we get in toward your Wednesday some, and then on Thursday the chances even lower than that. So that's some good news. Now as we get into toward Friday, chances do go up some here, especially later on in the day, and I'll see all that here in that 7-day forecast in just a few minutes. But I know we had those really chilly temperatures there yesterday morning. On that Monday morning where I'm at, we really got down there, rural spot, and we saw some of the coldest temperatures really that we've seen here going back to late 2020, and I'll break that down for you here as well later on in the timeline. But right now we do have 50 degrees toward Keystone as of that last observation. I know where I'm at. We're at 52 degrees right now in eastern parts of Bradford County. We did get down there to about 42 early this morning, really about 12:10, as we saw the temperatures not really get any lower than that time. At that point, we started to see a little bit of a rise in those trends because we had that cloud cover around here acting like a blanket there to insulate things, and that can sometimes keep things up. I know Sunday morning, for instance, we had that cloud cover around toward Gainesville. We didn't have a freeze, but we had a freeze toward Tallahassee, Albany, and then Monday morning that cloud cover was not around, and again getting so chilly, we had all those frost pictures coming on in there in the Weather Enterprise. So that was something that's definitely noteworthy for sure as we're looking at some different things here, and gonna have the same story it looks like on Sunday morning here, if not even colder. That's what I'm gonna be breaking down in that 7-day forecast, and kind of giving away that a little bit here, but we'll just show you just how cold it could get here with those numbers on average. So let's go ahead and take a look though at some of these different cameras right now. We do have the FSU WeatherStim camera right now toward Tallahassee. You see here some rain on the camera lens. So we are getting that precipitation to reach the surface there, as we've seen in some of our different observations. And in some spots, we're not getting that too much, despite what radar is showing. Where I'm at, we've only got about 100th of an inch here toward eastern Bradford County, but a little more out toward the west there, as we've seen. And then we do have another camera view we can show you. This is a Cedar Key viewpoint. There you see it looks like it's a little bit wet there, maybe at least cool out there as well in Levy County. Is it kind of giving you guys that idea, that visual here as well. So let me go ahead and move away from these here at this point. We'll go back on over to our maps. I know the Tallahassee radar, they're doing some different maintenance things on that, so that's one reason we're looking a little higher up on this broader viewpoint right now. Though I do have the Vedasta radar here, and I noticed we do have some of that sour accent trying to show up there toward the Big Bend region a little bit. You can see some of that toward Leon County, toward Wakulla County there. So something to kind of keep our eyes on here in this picture as we continue to watch things here this evening. Just kind of seeing how much of that's actually getting down toward the surface here. Now toward South Florida, we're going to have to watch a little bit of thunderstorm activity potentially come into play. I'm not too concerned, but we'll go ahead and bring it up because there are a little bit of parameters that are going to try to work their way here into where Southwest Florida. Maybe you see a little more organized line here, but really we have the higher parameters further down southwest to Key West. Maybe far southern Florida getting into a stronger storm, but severe weather not anticipated here at this point. The parameters just don't look favorable for that as we get down there, as the environment here just not portraying that at this point. But as we go ahead and go to some of our temperatures, you do see some pretty warm readings in comparison to what we're seeing upstate. I know downstate really getting pretty chilly down there as we get toward areas. Let's say you can see upstate, I'm talking about, getting pretty chilly, 52 Lake City, but compare that with Key West, I mean, look at that, 73 there, Key West, if you can kind of make that out, 76 there, another observation site. So definitely telling that weather story here this evening with the contrast in air mass, and then you can see here even some snow. I know some winter storm warnings here as we get out toward western Kansas. look at this. We've got a report there about 22 inches of snow there as we get off toward areas there not far away from Scott City, Kansas. That kind of tells the story here. As you see, Garden City getting into this as well. I know some of these different areas talked about a lot during severe weather coverage when we get out toward that area in the Midwest this time, as we're getting there toward maybe about May or June. But again, as we go ahead and zoom back on out, we'll go ahead and see here again, see in the picture we have the lightning there. Excuse me, as we continue to watch things, we're going to continue to track the situation. Let me go ahead and pop up some of our different things at our disposal here this evening. You can see on our graphic system, we'll talk about that coldest temperature here, folks, that we've seen since late December 2020, folks. So we had that frost around, really telling that story. I know yesterday morning, 7:23 a.m. down to 24 degrees, and then the coldest temperature since that point, since the point there of December 27, 2020, where we got down to 24 as well. I know the day before that we got down to 22. Could be seeing some of that in these rural areas as we do look ahead in the WARDA timeline. So we'll keep our eyes on that potential. As you see the rainfall forecast here, next 7 days, you see the peninsula here of Florida getting into some more moisture towards central Florida. For instance, you can see around an inch of rain possible as we get toward Orlando, toward areas like that. Those other spots there are more common totals will probably be on the order about 3/4 of an inch. It looks like we'll just continue to watch that, though, as we do look ahead later on here in the timeline. Of course, you can always go to cloudweather.com/radar for an interactive look at things when we're not on with these updates. Again, not expecting any severe weather here in the state, especially not in our area, though. Things do look to remain calm here. It's just going to be too cool here, as you'll see in that 7-day forecast right now. We'll go ahead and bring it out for you. You do see here, folks, we have 60 degrees for that high here on your Wednesday. And then as we get toward Thursday, warming up a little bit, but toward Friday, you see that moisture trying to increase some, and that's a sign of cooler temperatures on the way. Look at Saturday, folks. You're going to have to bundle up. 49 degrees for the high Saturday, and it's going to be windy, so those wind chill values will really make things feel chilly. And then on Sunday, maybe some of that sunshine coming out, and the winds won't be as big of a factor, but a hard freeze expected for many of us. Now, we did have hard freeze conditions for some of us here back on Monday morning. We had those in isolated spots. I know we got down to 24 where I'm at, but in Bradford County, commonly temperatures were more toward those upper 20s. So that was kind of interesting to see, as it just depended on exactly where you were, more rural versus more urban, or more concrete around, something like that even. That can make a difference. But in this situation, it looks like it's going to be a little more widespread. So we got to protect not just those pets, people, and plants, but pipes this time as well for Sunday morning. Going ahead and getting that wording out here. We got to protect those pipes as well. You want to be running that water here in this situation. Just kind of want to be on guard for that potential danger here, as we're going to have some of the coldest temperatures we've seen here potentially in a while, as 24 on the average. That means some isolated spots could get as low as maybe 20 in those rural areas here. So just be on guard for that. We'll continue to refine things. Maybe this goes up a little bit, or maybe even goes down on average just a tad is possible. But a lot of the models here are in pretty good agreement on this at this point. You see way below average, but we've been above average here for much of this period. I know looking back in December, we were warmer in December than November, really, with those high temperatures. Looking at some of my different observations for that on average. So definitely kind of overdo a little bit. And I'll go ahead and step on over now to say we are going to start to get into warmer weather. You see on Monday here, 61 degrees. Now 67 on Tuesday, and it's going to start to feel more like Florida here in that 8 to 14 day time range. Looking at some of the different outlooks here in those temperature viewpoints, you can kind of see things really going up and getting above average here. Maybe some 70s on the board as we get toward the middle of next week. So a little bit of cold weather relief. We're normally talking about warm weather relief, but we're talking cold weather relief here at this point, because this is not something you expect to see here, folks, in Florida. an average temperature, including our southern Georgia counties, of 24. And on Monday morning, some of our Georgia counties didn't get quite as cool. It was interesting to see. I know areas there, Charleston, South Carolina, they had that wintry weather looking back late Friday night, but their temperatures there weren't quite as cold as what we were seeing. Even areas off toward areas, even Midwest, this different spot there. I know seeing some different numbers that were warmer than what we were seeing. Pretty intriguing to see here. We also have to be on guard now for a winter storm associated with this here that could be impacting areas up the East Coast. So it's too early to go into details on this. The only thing I will say here in that for what it pertains to our local forecast is if we were to somehow get the moisture to overlap with the cold weather, then maybe we get some flurries or something like that. Now, back Saturday night, there were reports of some flurries. They kind of looked like flurries, what we were seeing, but actually, we didn't have those temperatures there, even above the surface a little bit, cool enough for that. Those were actually kind of just little areas there of drizzle and the windy conditions trying to float around. They had the appearance of flurries. It kind of looked like it, but they actually technically weren't based on the meteorology of things there with the atmospheric profile. Now, you don't have to be freezing at the surface to get flurries, but you have to be there a little bit above that to get those frozen different things there in terms of that precipitation down to the surface, whether it's freezing rain, sleet, snow. You have to have that there a little bit above, and we did not have that there with the atmospheric setup Saturday night, unfortunately, but it was kind of cool to look at. I went outside, saw it myself here. It's just dark, and you can make the argument when you look at it at first, it is flurries because we're not used to seeing flurries. I haven't seen much in the way of flurry action here since I've been in Florida. 2010, the only time I saw legitimate flurries here, that was the day after Christmas that year, but otherwise, it's been over 20 years since seeing anything like that when I was out in North Texas. But let's go ahead and go over here back on to our North Central Florida viewpoint, our local view here. You do see here some of the temperatures. Again, they are here pretty cool. Want to have that jacket on hand, but again, it's going to get much colder here, folks. So just be aware of that. Just be aware of that here. We talked about that winter storm that could evolve. That could be something from New York City or Boston or areas around there, maybe Rhode Island, Providence there could get into something with the winter storm. So that's something to kind of keep our eyes on here as we do look ahead into where the timeline, maybe even some areas there further down the coast could see something too. But I don't want to dive too much into it. Just want to kind of look at model runs and see what happens there. As again, it's going to be chilly, but again, you saw that 24 on the graphic. That's an average. We had 24 where I'm at yesterday, but that didn't mean that 24 is going to be equal because really on average we saw temperatures a little bit warmer than that. But in these rural areas, we could be getting a little bit cooler. And again, got to be prepared there with protecting those plants, pets, people here. But you also got to be protecting those pipes here as well. So that's something to do. We'll be monitoring things. I know cold weather here, definitely something that's unusual, bringing out some of that different wardrobe accent, I guess you could say here, for that colder weather, not used to wearing longer sleeve shirts around here, maybe something you'll have to do for a little while. I mean, this isn't anything like what we saw in 1985, though, where we saw single digit temperatures. So that's the good news. Nothing like that. So this isn't crazy cold for us, honestly. It's just we haven't had that here that much in a while, but that's going to kind of change here as we look ahead. It looks like towards Sunday. We'll keep you updated. Things could always change with cloud cover, and that could restrict our temperatures from falling quite as low as we're forecasting here currently. So we'll keep you updated right now. That's the look at things. I'll be back on Thursday with more weather information. Thanks so much for tuning in, and have a great night.